Battlefield has always focused on large-scale warfare. Right from the outset of 1942 up to 2042, we've always had large-scale open battles in large-scale game modes. The reason I keep referring to large-scale is because, once again, we're looking at a Battle Royale for Battlefield. They tried it with Firestorm in BF5, and we've seen BRs dominate the FPS landscape for a number of years now. But today I'm here to answer the question, does Battlefield 6 really need a BR mode? First off, let's consider the case for a Battle Royale. I think it would be fair to say that a lot of modern gamers do expect Battle Royales at least as a mode in their FPS or shooter of choice. They've become so commonplace within the industry that really people look at them as just being the standard. And I get the feeling that for some people, they can't actually justify playing an FPS at this point unless it has a Battle Royale attached to it in some way. One thing to be said for Battle Royales though, they do provide a significant amount of replayability for a game. I think this really boils down to the unpredictability that you find in a Battle Royale versus a more standard multiplayer experience within a shooter, just because every round is basically different. Not only that, but from a marketing perspective, I feel like EA and DICE have seen the success of other Battle Royales, particularly on social platforms like YouTube, Twitch and others, which have equally generated lots of attraction and eyes onto these specific games. I do understand that as a business they probably want to take a piece of that pie, so it does make sense for them to try and build a Battle Royale into the Battlefield ecosystem. Alongside that, if they can create a Battle Royale that has a significant longevity, like a Warzone, a Fortnite, or an Apex Legends, then they know that they can generate constant player engagement, keep people entertained, and keep people playing Battlefield as a whole. The interesting element, or maybe the icing on the cake for a Battle Royale, is that it would still be uniquely Battlefield. The devs at DICE have experience building large-scale maps, working with things like destruction and vehicles already in the repertoire. So when I'm thinking about this logically, they should be able to build that into a Battle Royale experience with a Battlefield flavour. The question is though, will it still be able to generate those only in Battlefield moments that we all talk about, or would it just become more of a carbon copy of, say, Warzone for instance? On the other hand though, I can also see why a lot of core Battlefield fans are particularly nervous about the introduction of Battle Royale into the mix. The biggest concern for a lot of people, and myself included, is that Battlefield has always been about large-scale war, teamwork, and objective play. Now, teamwork and large-scale war definitely fit into the Battle Royale space, but objective play versus last man standing survival, I think I'd lean more towards objective play. And as such, it doesn't really line up having Battlefield as its core with the BR bolted on. It seems like a different product. Alongside that, and as I've already mentioned, they are going to be competing with a number of already established Battle Royales who have been in the market for a number of years, have refined their product, have refined their gameplay, and know who they're tailoring themselves towards. This is a fresh approach for DICE and EA to try and win over and ingratiate themselves with a different community of players and hopefully bring them back to Battlefield. But the Battle Royale itself has to stand out and be marketable as a superior game to the likes of Warzone and Fortnite. And if we look back at Firestorm in Battlefield 5, that was not a particularly good showing for the team as to how they would try and implement a Battle Royale into the existing Battlefield world. Admittedly, there are a lot of issues to do with the launch of Firestorm, particularly that it was tied to the Battlefield 5 product and wasn't a free-to-play option. So for me, I would argue that that's probably not the best barometer to go on, and I expect this Battle Royale to be significantly more thought out and have a lot more to it than Firestorm potentially did. Of course, we could definitely champion some alternatives to Battle Royales as well. I know myself and a lot of other Battlefield players still want the focus to remain on the core Battlefield experience, like Conquest and Breakthrough. I want those modes to be the best they can possibly be, and the Battle Royale should definitely be a secondary or even third option. Alongside that, because we're still going to be in a live service model, I want new additions to that to be relevant to the multiplayer first rather than the Battle Royale. I'm also concerned there's going to be a bit of a split there, and what I don't want to do is then segregate the player base. I think the core questions that need to be answered upon Battlefield 6 and the Battle Royale's release is ultimately if a Battle Royale will bring in new players for the franchise or alternatively alienate the long-term fans. A lot of people would probably argue that DICE are trying to chase a trend rather than focusing on the core gameplay and what makes Battlefield Battlefield. At the end of the day, it's happening, we're getting a Battle Royale. First off, will I play it? I think the answer to that is yes. I'll definitely give it a go. Do I think it should be a critical part of the Battlefield 6 formula? Absolutely not. I want it to be successful and I want it to bring more players into the game, as long as there is a clear pathway to get them from the Battle Royale into the core Battlefield experience. We've already seen with 2042 the player base diminish to a considerably tiny fraction of what it once was. And even though Battlefield 6 is gearing up to be a significantly bigger game, I then don't want the player base to be segregated between a Battle Royale and the core game itself. With that being said, from a marketing and gaming standpoint, people will argue that a BR is needed. I personally don't really feel like it is, but I'm not going to say no to trying it. Let me know down in the comments if you want a BR in Battlefield 6, if you'll be trying it out, or if you're going to be leaving it alone. As always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. And if you're ready for Battlefield 6, hit the like and subscribe button. There's going to be plenty more coming down the pipeline. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.